John 2 verse 5. And his mother said unto the servants, whatsoever he said unto you, do. Herein lies the secret of arriving destiny, is his voice. Whatever he tells us to do, do it. Our arrival in destiny is not skills dependent, it's not gifts dependent, it's not connection dependent, it's God's voice dependent. Our arrival in the place to the place of destiny, arriving at the place that God has destined for you and for me, is not skill dependent. It's not gift dependent. It is not relationship dependent, as good as relationship might be. It is not experience dependent, but is dependent on God's voice. He led them through the wilderness. He led them. It wasn't their skill that guaranteed their entering into the promised land. It was the voice of God. It's not your skill, nor your gift, nor your connection, as good as these things might be, that will guarantee your entering into the promised land, entering into destiny. But the voice of God is what we guarantee. So we invest more on skills. Rightly so. We should invest on skills. We talk about gifts. Good to talk about it. We talk about relationship, but we discuss all these things more than the leading of the Spirit. And our life, whether or not we enter the place of destiny, is dependent on the voice of God. You can have everything that looks like an advantage, and if God's voice is not in your life, you will find out that it's a disadvantage. There are many things today that we have concluded. What I'm trying to do, I'm whetting your appetite first, just to make you see how important the voice of God is. It was the voice of God that led them through the wilderness. It was not their skill. Journeying through the wilderness, your skill will not be an advantage. Your gift will not be an advantage. Journeying through this life, the advantage that you have is your ability to hear God's voice. This is the way. This is the way. This is the path to follow. That will be our advantage. The preacher you are connected to. Don't forget, I'm not talking of the streams. I'm not talking of channel through which God speaks. And my emphasis is God's voice. And that emphasis is you hearing voice by yourself. Because until you know to hear God's voice by yourself, you will not know when God's voice is coming in the service. You see, you have to first know to hear God's voice. Then you can now tell that this is God's voice in this service. If you don't know to hear God's voice for yourself, you are not used to the voice. So he comes in the service, he comes through a friend, he comes through a pastor, you will not know that that's God's voice. Because you can be in the service and the voice of God is coming to you expressly, and you will not know. And you can miss your moment of encounter. Because encounter has nothing to do just with angels appearing and Jesus appearing. Encounters have also a great deal to do with the voice of God coming to you. And the voice of God came to me. That was how the prophet spoke. The voice of God. The voice of God. There was something about the voice of God that the prophets were not joking with. They were men that had the voice of God in their days. Our fathers are men that have the voice of God. But these days, we don't emphasize the voice of God. We emphasize many things outside the voice of God. And the things we emphasize are not necessarily wrong, but the voice of God is what will guide you to destiny. Your gift will not guide you to destiny. Your skills and your connection, as good as they are and they seem to be, they will never guide us to destiny. The voice of people will not guide you to destiny, excepting that is the voice of God. Don't forget, I say you must know to hear the voice of God to know when God is speaking through a man. So the emphasis is the voice of God, not a man, not prophecy. Not a man, not prophecy. The emphasis is the voice of God. When last did you hear the voice of God?